Welcome back, guys. Today the topic of discussion is the pending doom to the 2UR-GSE engine. And by that I mean, we now know that Lexus has announced the end of the RCF 2025. There's 179 units built for the US for the ultimate, or for the final edition. The IS500F Sport has now been announced, the ultimate edition, which is limited to 500 units. We don't know for sure if that's really the end or not, but it kind of sounds like it. When you get down to, you're producing 200, 300 units a year, yeah, that's pretty poor sales. That's going to make these last ones, I think, pretty desirable 10, 15 years from now, as if you follow the ISF market, the GSF market, since those obviously have ended for a while, that I think that we're gonna have some future collector's items on hand. Here we are, June 2025, and we'll revisit this in like 5 years and see if I was right or not. But I think that this kind of pending doom, it's in super slow motion. You've seen it coming for a while. The sales for these cars have been pretty poor for a while. They continue to make them because they do have sort of a cult following to a niche group of individuals who continue to purchase them, and repeat buyers even better. So you have the guys that bought like the 2018, 2019s, they're trading them in, buying 2025s. And they were $90,000 then, now they're $120,000, for example, with the LC500. Obviously there's variations with that, but my point being, the LC500 is the last remaining car that Toyota, Lexus produce that I think is not going to make even the next model year. So I think 2026 will be the end of the LC500. That's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong for everybody's sake, but I feel like you can't continue to produce from a large volume manufacturer these small, low volume cars and still turn a profit, because you still have to stop whatever line you were producing to go produce and build a couple hundred cars and then move on. There's a lot of expense involved in that, despite a 20-30% profit margin or whatever the manufacturer makes on the LC500. But I think that from a business aspect, it can't go on forever. Not only that, but the emissions regulations continue to tighten. So you have the Euro 5 emissions, things like that, which this engine does not meet. So there's other things like that where it's making it harder and harder for a car and an engine like this to exist. So the car can exist. Obviously they have the hybrid variant and things like that, but it doesn't scratch the same itch. It's not quite the same. Part of what makes these engines special is it's an assault on the senses, how it makes you feel, the sound, that it's in a league of its own. And those of you that have driven any of these vehicles that have this engine can attest that it really is a special engine. It's not the fastest, but it sounds pretty awesome, and it excites the soul. And so that's something that is going to go away, unfortunately, because of emissions. It's going to have a hybrid 4-cylinder, twin-turbo V6 or whatever, but the V8's going away, and it is unfortunate. So my question for you guys is, again, this is the topic of conversation today. Let me know in the comments, how long do you think that the LC500 is going to stick around? And do you think this is really the end of the IS500F Sport with the 2UR-GSE engine? I think that my personal opinion, so as you know, I'm all about data and everything like that. I can't get anybody at Lexus to give me a straight answer as to whether the IS500F Sport if this ultimate edition is the final edition. Nobody will say for sure. When you ask for the RCF, like, yeah, yep, that's the end, it's done. We sold 200 cars last year, that's it. Well, the IS500, they won't commit to it. So it makes me think either there's maybe like another final edition, like all the Hellcats and things like that. They did the last call, the jailbreak, there's a lot of different final versions. And Toyota, they're not really known to do stuff like that. They do these special editions every now and then. The ISF had the Neiman Marcus edition. There were other things like that Toyota likes to do. So we have the final edition for the RCF, the Ultimate Edition for the IS500. There's probably going to be something like that for the LC500 coming soon too. What was surprising to me and probably a lot of other people was that the LC500 received a refresh recently. So that makes me think that, you know, they spent the money on tooling changes. They now make a couple different parts for it. Other than that, it's basically unchanged, but there are updated parts that exist now. So they spent the money on that just to produce another couple hundred cars. So that, again, is surprising to me. So again, like I said, let me know in the comments what you think about this moving forward. This will be a cool video to revisit, you know, 1, 2, 3, 5 years from now and see where we're at. But I think that the F cars obviously are all going away because the RCF is the last of that. There is, of course, rumored, as you've seen the Nürburgring videos and so on, that there is a twin turbo V8 supercar that may exist. We'll see when it comes to that. I don't know if that's going to be like a LFA type of replacement, but that's the next on the list. So anyway, thanks again for watching, guys. Let me know in the comment. Thumbs up, make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you soon.